Alright, so the first thing we're going to talk about with kumikata, grip fighting, is what happens before you even make contact with your opponent. Alright, this is where grip fighting starts. So I need to pay attention to a couple of key things. When we come out and we bow, okay, and we start to fight, the first thing I need to pay attention to is what stance does he have, okay? Does he have a right stance? Is it right on right? Alright, is it left on right? Or is it left on left? This is going to dictate what sequences I use when I'm grip fighting. The second thing I need to pay attention to is what does his posture look like? Okay? Does he have really good posture? Okay, good judo posture, we'll talk a little bit about that. Does he have more bent over posture? Okay, that's important too because when I come out, I might cross grip and come immediately over the top for a grip to continue to break down his upper body to throw. And then the last one to think about is what is his tendency of motion? So nobody just comes out here usually and comes straight on. Usually we're moving in one direction or another. Most people, okay, if it's a right-hand player, most people are going to move counterclockwise. Okay, here. This is a natural movement. And it's also important because if we have a normal grip, okay, here, alright, I typically do not want to move to my left because this is setting up all of his throws. Okay, but if you notice that your opponent does this, if you notice your opponent moves opposite of what their normal tendency of motion is, it's also going to be really important once you get a grip because it's going to determine if he comes into your throws or if he comes away from your throws. Alright, so next we're going to talk about our basic fundamentals of grip fighting. Okay, so the first thing, number one, is your posture. When I come out, we'll start with right on right posture. Okay, when I come out, I need to have good upright posture. This is not only important for my defense, but it's also important for me to be able to grip. Okay, the better my posture is, the better that I can extend my reach. Okay, and I can come out and I can get my grips. If I have a very low posture here, okay, this limits how far I can grip. Okay, because I've got this extra distance that I have to have my arms travel. Alright, so you need to have very good posture. The next thing is, once we actually get a grip, let's talk about what our goals are. So for one, when I have a sleeve grip, okay, there's a couple of different grips that we can take. Okay, we can take a behind the elbow grip here. We can take a grip more towards the end of the sleeve. In both of these cases though, when I grip, okay, I want to feed that in and I want to turn the grip out. So it takes away all the slack in the arm. Okay, this helps prevent things like people slipping around the grip. Okay, it won't 100% prevent it, but me combined having a very tight grip here and being able to force that hand down and my movement, okay, that takes a lot of the ability for him to do simple grip breaks out of the equation. It also means that I have a lot of, there's not a lot of slack, alright, in this grip. So as I come and I bring it up to do any of my techniques, I get movement almost instantaneously. Okay, so really super important. For our lapel side grips, alright, with both of these grips, I'm gripping with the last three fingers. Alright, if you ever try to just grip something with just your thumb and your forefinger, this becomes very difficult. Alright, so actually it's your pinky finger and your last three fingers that are your strong fingers. Alright, so I create a little pocket here with those fingers. Alright, and as I tug it down, it creates a nice little area there that locks the grip into place. Alright, and then from there, I can bring that grip up where I want it to be, alright, to affect the motion of my partner. So, those two are kind of your basic principles. We like to try to get an end of the sleeve grip more often than not than back here, just because when I have a grip back here, he can reach my lapel, and we want to get away from the potential of our partner doing that. So this can actually make it more difficult to throw, okay? Because you don't have a grip directly behind that tricep here, but it's actually a stronger grip from a grip fighting fundamentals position. Now, in terms of getting our grip, two very important principles. One is what we call striking the grip. So if I want to get a grip on his power hand, on that sleeve hand, right? Instead of just coming out and grabbing onto it, which will rarely ever work, instead I'm going to actually strike the whole arm to get the grip. And I can do this in a lot of different ways. I can strike coming overhand, and then I can feed in. I can make a C grip with my hand, come across and get that grip. I can do it double-handed here, but the point is that we're not going for the actual material. We're going for the whole limb, all right, or the whole piece of the body, so that I increase my percentage chance of being able to get a hand on it. Then I can worry about fixing the grip later. Same thing happens when we're getting our lapel grip on. When I'm trying to go for a lapel grip, okay, so I'll do it from a left on right scenario, all right? Instead of just coming out and reaching, I'm gonna just kind of slap the collarbone area and then get my grip. Okay, this way, if he's moving away from me, I can still get it. The last way is by grip feeding. There's a couple of different grip feeds. All right, one type of grip feed would be if the person reaches over something and I grip feed the sleeve side. So pulling this off, feeding the grip, all right, into my sleeve hand. That's one type of grip feed. The other type of grip feed is feeding the lapel. So I'm reaching in. Let's say we're left on right. I'm reaching in with my right, and I'm feeding it into my power hand. Okay, so that's the other type of grip feeds. So these are the ways that we get our hands on our opponent. Next, we're going to talk about the sequences that we're going to use to make sure that we get in an advantageous position every single time. Alright, so next we're going to talk about same side gripping strategies. So, if we're both right-handed players, there's a couple of really important things that we need to talk about. The first one is, number one, we need to be controlling our opponent's power hand. Alright, so like we talked about before, our power hand is the hand that goes on the lapel side. It's also the hand that has our foot that's forward. Okay, this is the hand that allows us to create a lot of our off balance. It allows us to also get inside of our opponent. So there's a couple of really important things that we want to make sure that we don't do when either attacking our opponent's power hand or getting our own power hand on. And we'll talk about why these make such a big difference in a second. The first one is you never want to just reach, all right, and get a grip with your power hand. All right? So worst case or best case scenario in this sequence, I just grab on and now we're in a 50-50 situation. Okay, nobody gets thrown, but he's not throwing me with that one hand coming on. More likely scenario is that as soon as that touches, I'm coming in for a throw instantaneously. Okay? Another bad scenario is that hand comes out, right, and the person steps at the same time because they're trying to reach or lead. Alright, and they get foot swept right there because their foot is forward and I also have this elbow control so I can rotate their upper body. Okay, so it's very dangerous. Even if you grip feed, this is still a dangerous situation to be put in. Alright, he grip feeds here and I attack. You never want to reach or want to grip feed with your power hand that's the same foot that's forward. Instead, our ideal scenario is that we come out and we reach with our left hand like we were doing before and we strike across that grip and we control the power hand. As soon as we get control of this sleeve, okay, we always push it right into the hip. Now we can take our time getting our our power hand on. Now I have 2 grips, and he only, well right now he's got none, but most likely scenario is that he gets his other hand on somehow. Alright, this is a very bad position for him. Because all I have to do is move around. I've got all my off balance. I can throw very easily. So, that's really super important. If you do all the work out here grip fighting to get this sleeve, and then you leave it here and they just get a grip anyway, now we're back in that scenario again. Okay, so always bring that right to the hip. This is frustrating for your partner, and it also is a good grip fighting tactic. The next thing that we'll talk about is what happens when you're going for that hand and your partner pulls away. So there's a bunch of different sequences we can use here to always get back into the same situation that we want to be, which is controlling that power hand. And we'll just go through a couple of them now, just some basic ones. So if I go to grab this hand and he rips it away, or I just miss it, I want to post immediately. Alright, once I post here, I'm in a good position, because in order for him to throw me, let's say even when I come here, he gets my power hand. Okay, all of his throws are this direction. Alright, so I'm controlling this shoulder, so he can't move in that direction. If he's going to throw me, you know, it's probably going to be with a left-handed throw, but his left foot is backwards, which means he has twice the distance to travel to come through here. Okay, which means I have a lot of time to react and a lot of time to probably counter. Okay, so anytime you lose control of being able to get that grip, you post left immediately. Alright, don't be tricked into going and putting a right hand on. You can get there later. Alright, from this scenario, we want to make sure that we control the inside space. I don't want him to come inside, so I'm going to use my elbow to control that. I want him to come over, alright, and this gives me the opportunity to get access to this hand again. Okay, so over here, I use that elbow to control that hand. I want him to come over. As soon as he starts to come over, I extend that arm so that he can't reach my own lapel. I don't need to pull my lapel away from him. Alright, all I need to do is post this on the shoulder, alright, and create a lot of distance here. Now I've got access to this hand and he doesn't have a grip. So I can bring it off, and I can grip feed, put it to his hip. And now I'm back in that same position I want to be in, where I can get 2 grips on, alright, to his 1 grip. Alright, so next we're going to talk about opposite side stances and our grip fighting sequences for that. So, when we were talking about our right on right scenario, we were saying we never want to reach with the same foot that's forward. And a big reason for that is because of the threat of the seonage here and the threat of that foot sweep to the outside foot. Okay? Those threats are significantly minimized when we have an opposite side stance. Okay? Because a lot of the throws that they want to do, rotating that direction, are not available. So that means that we can get that inside grip fairly low risk. Alright? This foot doesn't have a lot of power and momentum to be able to come through and attack. Alright? And I have fairly good balance. What's most important though is that in any of these situations, whoever gets the grip first typically has a significant advantage, because now they're ahead of their partner in terms of the steps needed to win the match. Alright, they've gotten a grip, at least part of a grip, they're working towards a better grip, and they're one step closer to being able to throw their partner. The other person is still now trying to figure out how to defend the existing grip, and they haven't even gotten to the point of getting their grip. So that gives you a really big advantage. And it's a pretty significant one when it comes to opposite side stances. And the reason is that whoever controls the inside space, okay, here, that's the person that has a very big advantage when we're talking about opposite side gripping. So when I come in and I get this grip, I now have started to control the inside space. I don't have it completely, alright? But I'm the first one to get a grip, so I have the advantage. Now, as he comes in, he's fighting to try to get a grip on me. okay? And I'm working towards getting a better grip. So the first thing that I'm going to do is make sure that this hand doesn't get inside. So I use that elbow, and I use just basically moving my partner back and forth, okay, to prevent him from coming inside. Okay, I want to do this to make him take an over-the-top grip. Okay, and now I've secured that inside space. This allows me to control my partner's upper body in a much better way than having the over-the-top grip. The over-the-top grip, I really only have the actual material around his head to move around to control him. Here, I can control his arm and his body because I have that inside space. So as soon as I get that grip and I've secured the inside space, I'm going to move my hand up past the collarbone. And this makes it much more difficult for him to break down my grip. Okay? If I have a low grip here, okay, he can collapse the inside space and he can get a 2-on-1 grip. And this is one of the most common defenses to me taking the inside space, is to collapse that down and come over the top from 2-on-1. And now I have to start defending that grip. So I want to make sure that when I secure that inside space, this hand goes up here, okay, and that my arm comes down to create tension. All right, and this creates a frame, okay, that's difficult to break because my bones are in alignment. Okay, the next step is that I need to get that far sleeve. And there's a couple of different ways to do this. One is to use that striking or slapping methodology that we were talking about before. So actually just coming through and just slapping that against the body and getting the grip. Okay? But let's say that you won't let me have that. Every time I try to get that grip, he keeps it away. Alright? So a good way to trick your partner into bringing that hand back into play is to go for the double lapel grip. He's going to feel like now it's safe for him to take another grip. Okay? So he may grip here. Alright? He may grip on this other side. Alright? Because he's a right-handed player, this is going to be a common grip that he takes is on my sleeve. From here, I can come around and I can get my sleeve grip. As soon as that happens, as soon as that grip gets secured, then I come in and I attack. I don't want to give him time to start breaking down my grip. So again, we come out. I want to get the first advantage, the first gripper's advantage. I'm coming in, I'm cross-gripping, I'm feeding that grip. I do not let him get the inside. Okay, as soon as he comes over, now I'm trying to get to that sleeve. Right? I either attack it by slapping it in, or I go for the double lapel, and as he gets his sleeve grip, I come around and I catch it. As soon as I get that grip, I attack. Okay, so the next thing to talk about with the same opposite side gripping is what do we do if we can't get the inside space? Alright, there's a couple of good kind of alternatives that you have here. So, one is that if he gets the inside space on me here, okay, the first thing I need to do is make sure this hand doesn't get too high. Alright, having that hand over my collarbone, alright, for one, it really controls my upper body movement. But it also makes it very difficult for me to break down this arm. Okay, and if I'm sitting here trying to break down this arm, he's starting to get my sleeve, and now I'm in trouble for getting thrown. So we need to make sure that hand doesn't get up past the collarbone. Alright, so we need to use our chin or our other hand to do that. Here. Once that arm is now low, then I can break this down. I can do it with pressure from the top, or I can also reach behind. I like to do both. I like to reach behind, and I like to bring the whole arm down so I can get a 2-on-1 grip. Okay, so here All right, he's bringing that hand up past my collarbone. He's controlling my head. I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to reach behind, pull across, and I'm going to get that 2-on-1 grip. From here, I have a lot of really nice attacks, okay? I can get that leg out of the way, and I can come in for sumigaishi. I can bring the hip all the way across for an ogoshi. The other scenario here that I want to exploit is still breaking this down, but not pulling across, but capitalizing on driving that arm down his body, and ideally getting that far arm and pushing it in too, providing like a straitjacket almost. So I'm here. All right, as I push into him, all right, I allow this to expand and release. And I got a nice seonage there. So one more time, he gets the inside space. I drop this down. All right, I'm crunching his body together here. I'm pushing into him. All right, when I feel him push back, I release. And I come in for the throw. So those are two really nice scenarios that you can use if you lose the inside space. But ideally, you really want to have that inside space. That's where the majority of your throws come from. If someone gets the inside space on you, then they know that they've limited what you can do to a subset of all the throws. And so they're going to be looking for those for you to execute and then to counter you. So the nice thing about controlling that inside space here is that I have a lot more techniques. All right, I've got Uchimata. I've got Taiyatoshi. Okay, I got my seonages. I got my sodes. There's a lot of techniques I can do from there. Harai gosh, honey gosh, ashiguruma, osotogari. Okay, these techniques, I cannot do these nearly as well here. If I come in for Osoto, all right, he's got a very strong inside post on me. So I need to control that inside space to be able to throw.